Welcome everybody. So today I'm back and bringing you guys a brand new YouTube review. This is going to be for Iron Man 3. So Iron Man 3 takes place right after the Avengers world is kind of dismantled after the realization that aliens have invaded. This haunts Tony Stark, who is played by Robert Downey Jr., as well as Gwyneth Paltrow, who plays Pepper Potts. She is Tony's love interest, as well as pretty much the thing that keeps Tony sane throughout all this. This movie deals a lot with, PTSD disorder. Tony's suffering from alcoholism and some of the things that he's trying to recover from in terms of dealing with the fact that he was captured in the first movie and pretty much forced to build the Jericho missiles for these terrorist organizations that he definitely did not want to build them for, and eventually creating the Iron Man suit that led him to this moment. He's also battling the Mandarin, who is this evil terrorist organization leader who is also hunting down Tony Stark as well as other members of his team. This movie also brings back Jon Favreau, and I think Jon Favreau's character is actually perfect for this role. He was introduced in Iron Man 1, and he's consistently been throughout all the other Iron Man movies as well as the new Spider-Man films. This movie takes Tony Stark into more of a father figure character, as seen as his future role in the Spider-Man films with Peter Parker and Tom Holland. This movie deals a lot with, Tony Stark's narcissistic behaviors as well. Tony's arrogant enough that in a, press event, he leaks the information to where he is located with his house. And this sends the Mandarin to have some helicopters flown to his house, and he completely destroys Tony's Iron Man suits as well as pretty much the entire thing that he's invested his life to protect Pepper Potts as well as his friends, family, and pretty much the entire world. When this movie first came out, I did not enjoy this movie. I thought this movie was complete garbage, but after consecutive viewings of this movie, I actually grew to like this movie. I don't know if this would actually happen with any of the other films that I really do hate, like The Last Jedi or Ghostbusters, because after every sequential viewings of those movies, I've actually not liked those movies any more than I have with Iron Man 3. This movie is also a Christmas movie because it's also set during the holidays as well as Christmas. There's also a subplot between these superhumans that are being created by another supervillain who later is revealed to be the actual Mandarin, and he actually is trying to seduce Pepper Potts and pretty much destroy everything that Tony loves as well. This also focuses on Tony's strange behavior with Pepper Potts. A ex-flame kind of comes back into Tony's life and tries to sabotage and destroy everything that he's built with that relationship, and it kind of tears them apart at one point in the film. This leads to the scene where the helicopters come and destroy Tony's mansion. Tony Stark has to fight his way out of there, and eventually the Iron Man suit crash lands into an open field in the Midwest. He eventually has to rebuild himself, as well as deal with the fact that there's this kid that comes along who's played by the same kid that is in Jurassic World. This kid is pretty much something that Tony Stark views as a father figure because this kid doesn't have a father. And in one funny scene, he's like, yeah, well, fathers do that, after the kid, expresses that his father ran away. And, Tony's dad also ran away from him, figuratively speaking. But this also leads up to the future Marvel movies where you see Tony Stark's role as this mentor and father figure to Peter Parker kind of grow as well. This is where the foundations were for building that character in the future. I really liked some of the visual effects. I thought the destruction scene with Tony's mansion was really great. I thought some of the fight sequences were pretty good in this movie. This movie would do really well if it was not, a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If it was just its own thing with Robert Downey Jr. in it, I think this would work fine as a Marvel film. But the fight scene with the Air Force One, where you see War Machine go in and pretty much laying wreckage to everybody on that, was pretty cool to see. You see Tony's relationship with Rhodes kind of tear apart because Rhodes wants to be more than just, Tony's friend. He wants to actually be the War Machine, and he subsequently becomes the Iron Patriot, which I think is just a cool looking suit. And this is all building up towards Avengers Age of Ultron, which I didn't really like that much. I thought Avengers Age of Ultron was a little bit weaker than some of the other Avengers films. Is definitely something that I wanted to talk about for you guys. And it's really cool seeing the end fight sequence between, all the Iron Man suits and stuff after Tony finally builds the Hulk Busters, which are these just big, brooding Iron Man Hulkbuster looking suits, and they're just wrecking havoc and stuff. And you see Rhodes also kind of taking a mantle as the War Machine and kind of fighting alongside Tony Stark. This whole thing leads to Pepper Potts actually getting her own Iron Man suit, which I think was pretty cool. So hopefully in Endgame you'll kind of see Pepper Potts get maybe another Iron Man suit and kind of become one with Tony Stark as well before their final departure within the franchise, because it was just recently announced that Gwyneth Paltrow would no longer be in it, which I'm a little bit disappointed. I like it when actors stay for subsequent amount of movies, but she's been in the movie franchise for a while now, so I kind of understand a little bit why she's doing that. But I just think that it's maybe too soon to kind of depart from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but that's just my thought anyway. I wish they would have had, another movie focusing on, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts' relationship. But overall, I think this is a really fantastic film. This is my first review after being kind of sick for a while. I wanted to review this for you guys because I'm really a big fan of this film now, as opposed to when I first saw this when I was a kid. And I just think that if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely check this out. This is definitely better than 2. It's not as great as Iron Man 1, obviously, which I have yet to review, but I'll definitely do that at some point. But hopefully you guys like this review. I'm going to give this movie about a B. I don't think it deserves that A rating because it's not up to par with, Iron Man 1, which I think is just this A+ movie. But I really do think that if you haven't seen Iron Man 3, you should definitely check it out and watch that movie because there's definitely some things that lead into the other Avengers films that you'll definitely like. You'll notice when you're watching it throughout the rest of the Avengers series. So hopefully you guys like, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.